had debilitating tinnitus. It made my life really not possible. So I did a couple of things. Luckily, I got well again, and I was called to start to create my business.
We're all manifesting all the time, even the bad stuff. Instead of us trying to figure it out, we are just surrendering and asking for guidance.
My old self was serving me well, but there are some things I would like that I have a little bit different results. I would like to create another identity, even if sometimes it feels scary and it's not like easy, but you are on this journey. I would really love to have you on my podcast.
Hello. I'm welcoming Jelena Oertle to my YouTube channel. And we just met recently, and I invited her to come on my YouTube so that I can learn more about her amazing business. So Jelena is the owner of a supplement brand called Ova Flame, and she's also created the Limitless the podcast. So welcome, Jelena.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. Thank you for inviting me and having me in your beautiful virtual space.
Absolutely. I can't wait to hear more about what you're doing. You sent me a little bit of info, but I'd love for you to maybe just share with us a little bit about how you began with the supplement brand. I think it's really interesting because you have supplements for hormones, but also for hair and skin and nails. Can you tell me a little bit about what kind of led you to creating a supplement brand? I think it's super interesting. I don't know anyone who owns a supplement brand, so I'm a newbie to that world.
Thank you, Stephanie, so much. Well, I don't know personally anyone as well that is having this kind of business, but I have my personal healing journey. I have gone through really hard times. I had debilitating tinnitus or tinnitus, how do you say?
Tinnitus, yeah.
And it made my life really not possible. And so I did a couple of things. One of them was fasting, you really don't eat food because this is regenerating your cells. Then I skipped carbohydrates. I went to almost carnivore, like eating only meat. And this is like nowadays almost like a weird thing to do. But yeah, I was following this diet. And that is also how I started to eat a lot of organs, especially the liver. And after some time, luckily, I got well again, and I was called to start to create my business. Since like 20 years, I was working for other people. I was working in real estate and in project management, and I was like, I really do feel called to do something on my own, and I would love to do something that I'm inspired about. And then I have just seen a really famous brand in the US that is selling these beef organs. And I was thinking, how interesting is that? And then I was thinking, actually, I wouldn't just do beef organs, since I think there are some other ingredients that are helping you, to make your metabolism work faster. So I would love to add some ingredients on the top. So this was like my healing journey inspired formulation. So I created one formula, which is like for the hormones, and another
Mm-hmm.
one for the skin, hair, and nails. But yeah, it's inspired through this. And we brought it to Amazon in the US, since I also was inspired from others entrepreneurs who has built their empires through Amazon, but they were doing some other products. So this kind of merged together, my healing story, this idea for the beef organs and Amazon business. So yeah, I was kind of brave enough to make the company in the US, although I come from Switzerland. And yeah, and I'm on this, how you call it? Trip. It's not a trip, but it's like new,
Yeah.
how would you call it?
Like a journey? Or is that what you
Like a new
mean?
journey.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's like a new journey. And it's sometimes Bobby, you know,
Yeah.
but I also see that you're like building your mindset, and also think when you have something that inspires you, it makes the journey easier.
Yes, definitely. I think it's important to that we keep doing work that inspires us and building a business from a passion or even from a place of something that you created to heal yourself that can now help heal other people, I think is really um it's just very authentic, right? So your supplement brand, is that like supplements that you actually use to help heal your tinnitus?
Well, I did use supplements, but not in this form. I actually did also order beef organs to support my journey, but I would even nowadays tell people eat the liver, eat the liver. But there isn't, like, the organs, other organs, like um how you call them all in English. I mean, there are many organs that will be inside, like kidneys or something,
Hmm.
especially kidneys. They have a really like special flavor. So it's not for everyone, to eat this
Hmm.
kind of food. So it makes it easier for you to take them. But I would obviously really tell people eat organs if you can, if you have time, if you can, if you love the taste, do that. But if you don't, I would really recommend them supporting the body
The
with the
supplement.
supplements. Yes.
The supplement. What are the benefits of like beef organs?
Well, you see, there is something like biological there, that the cows are genetically not the same, of course, but they are similar. Their organs are kind of similar to us. And when you are eating the organ itself, then that specific like formulation, all ingredients or nutrients or minerals, everything that is inside is like sending, I mean, when it reaches your gut, it will be sent to that or specific organ, because your body will recognize this specific formulation. So it helps your organ to be renewed. So I think it's fantastic. I mean,
Wow, yeah.
yeah, it's very
That's
inspiring to
amazing.
me. So,
Yes,
yeah.
that's very interesting. I've not heard much about that. So I mean I've heard, I guess, but just haven't really like looked into it. So that's very interesting. So let's talk about this background of yours. Limitless the podcast. So I did mention this briefly, but Jelena has a new podcast. And you're just starting now to interview people on your podcast. Will you do also solo episodes too?
Yeah, it's a very good question, Stephanie. Um, I'm like for a while in this Instagram space, and the topics that I'm circling around is basically like awakening and the power of mind, and concepts like we are creating our reality, and cause and effect, and all of these things. And all of these concepts and spirituality in general helped me to understand some challenges in my life, and also helped me to be so brave to make new steps. And so I talked for a long time, like, I mean, my profile is get your new identity, because I was thinking, obviously, my old self was serving me well, but there are some things I would like that I have a little bit different results. And then I was like, okay, I would like to create another identity. So yeah, I talked a lot about identity on this channel. Um, but yeah, this is the last thing. Like, people who are in the space, they sometimes go maybe to coaching or teaching what they learned. And I would actually really love to have conversations with people who,
Hmm.
through their own journey, went through downs and ups and ahas moments, and they had some thoughts, and then they tried things. And I would really like to talk to people who are more conscious, more aware, and then to share, to others, how did they go? how their journey was and what were the moments when they learned the most. So
Yeah.
this is the podcast about that. And then eventually we are all heading to that new identity. I mean,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really powerful when you start to teach from a place of where people can learn from other people's stories, right? I think that's kind of what you're saying there is like sharing those conversations with other people so that people can learn from it. Or maybe somebody's dealing with the same thing that they are dealing with, and now you're talking about it and they get some insights from that and are able to, use that to grow, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I was always like, um, I was pulled to share, but then I was also thinking, okay, but you have to look from the other side and know how can people relate to what you are saying. And sometimes you don't really want to share that much the private things,
Hmm.
and then it stays abstract. So I think it's a bit of a challenge to find that sweet spot that is good for you, but I think you have to make it relatable, and it will become relatable as soon as you share your story, and maybe you don't want to share 100% of the story, but still only in this way people learn, and they will be like, oh yeah, of course I had that as well. So
Yeah.
I just learned, I had this like insights. Share what you're going through so people will learn from you.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, that's what I'm doing here too, right? I think and that's probably why, we're in the same kind of space, right? We're in a program together, and so we met on CEO Day in March, or sorry, April this month. So just a few weeks ago. And
Yes,
I think that's kind of what we're all just like called to share our experience so that other people can sort of like we don't want other people to have to go through all of the things that we've gone through in order to be able to learn from it, right? I mean, it's wonderful that we have this awareness to be able to say, I went through something and it taught me these things and it's very powerful. But at the same time, if we can help to make it easier for someone else and them not have to go through all of the hard stuff, and shortcut that a little bit, I think that's I think I froze there for a minute. I think that's really what we're doing, right? Is we're just here to share because we just want to help people. We just want to make sure that we can share whatever wisdom we've learned, or perhaps even picked up along the way from other people, right? um anyway, that's how I kind of look at it, is like, how can I help shortcut someone else's journey so they don't have to go through some of the really hard things. I mean, everybody learns from the hard stuff, but sometimes it takes a long time, right? Sometimes the hard things can really knock us down for a while before we realize what it's here to teach us, or what we can learn from it.
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, two things that you said, and there are some hard things, but it's exactly what we were like hearing on the from our mentor. Is like that this is actually the wisdom you have to share. And
Yeah.
and also, I just remember how many times I have watched other people, coaches, whoever was sharing their story, and it helped me so much to
Yes.
go through the things.
Yeah. That's why I love group coaching too, is because even if you don't feel comfortable yet asking the question, somebody always asks something that you think, oh, wow, yeah, I didn't know I needed to know that. Or I didn't know that I needed to hear that right now, until you hear it. And then you're like, wow. And you wouldn't have even thought maybe to ask that yourself, right? Because you're just not maybe there. So it helps to push you further along even faster, I think, in many ways. But I think it definitely starts with being open. So, how can we even have awareness or expand our identity if we're not open to hearing new things? And I think that's a really important way to approach life, right? Is to just be open to what life is um, providing for you, as opposed to what's happening to you, right? And from living from the place of everything's happening to me, oh, this is so hard, and like all of and that kind of attitude, right? Whereas you're more open to it. So I'm sure that when you're looking for guests for your podcast, and if you are interested in being on Jelena's podcast, you can go to her website. Just click the link in her bio. Her Instagram is Get Your New Identity, and you can just click the link in the bio there, for the Limitless Podcast and click join the conversation, and you can introduce yourself to her. And I'm sure she'd love to chat with you. Um, but I love what even it says on your website. Through conversations, insights, subtle shifts, you'll begin to see yourself and your reality differently. I absolutely love that, because that's what it's all about, right? Is being able to be open to seeing that, right? And open to exploring who we are and who, we're trying to become.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Stephanie. Yeah, well, there are really a lot of facets and layers and perspectives to look onto these things. But yeah, it's all about the growth. It's also about finding your same-minded people, how you say it, and
Mhm.
taking the steps, following the intuition, as you say, be open to receive. I noticed that when you are in the space of this like higher energy or openness, um, even the questions that you are just asking yourself, you just like ask. Yeah, can be something very practical. It can be something that is very deep and like bothering you, or you would just like have to have answers. And in this kind of spaces, the answer come through. So you just
Yeah,
ask and then receive. I notice, and it's so beautiful. And we all get these answers, but there are spaces, there are people, there are energies where this plus like it's coming faster. And that's beautiful.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
it's very beautiful.
Well, I think like what you're saying, is like very much when we are, um, it's almost as though instead of us trying to figure it out, right? Because
Yeah.
that's really
Yeah.
like the hard part is like, oh, I got
Yes.
to figure this out. Instead of that, we are just surrendering and asking for guidance. And we're asking for the answer as opposed to how to do this or like how to figure this
Yeah.
out or whatever. We're just saying, you know what?
Yeah.
Whatever's meant to happen or the answer I'm meant to receive, I'm going to surrender and wait for that. And I'm going to just
Ah,
be
it's so
in,
amazing. I just
yeah,
got goosebumps. It's absolutely, we
yeah,
are not even aware that it's so easy because we're like,
yeah,
oh, hey, okay, I have to do these things or I have to figure this out. Oh, how am I going to do this? How am I going to this? And the answer is ask the question
right. Yeah.
and open to receive the answer.
Yeah.
Like, it's,
And then,
it's
and Kathleen would say, be in joyful expectation,
amazing.
right? And just,
Yeah.
you're just like in this place of joy, knowing that you no longer have to struggle with it. And that's not always easy, right? I mean, there's all these things flying at us all the time in this busy world of like stuff. There's always things on our phone where we're like, okay, and then we just get distracted. And so we always go back to our previous belief of thinking, okay, we got to figure this out myself, like I'm alone. But really not true, right? Not if you have a spiritual belief, right? And
No.
if you start to harness that, you're really not alone. And answers are always coming to us. Like you said, if you choose to listen and hear the messages come through, you ask maybe for a sign, right? Instead of like, that's guidance too. So whatever the sign is for you, asking for that to come through. It really just reminds me of The Universe Has Your Back by Gabrielle Bernstein. I don't know if you ever read that book, but we read it in the book club last month. Um, and it was just
Right.
very simple process of, instead of just like fighting with this thing, you would say, I surrender this like grievance to you and ask for your guidance. That's it. Instead of like struggling with whatever it is we're struggling with, we're just surrendering that and asking for guidance, as opposed to like just forging ahead and making it so hard.
Yeah. But I mean, we cannot even judge ourselves,
Yeah.
because we didn't know.
Hmm.
Unconsciously things were happening anyways. You were sometimes probably asking yourself, like, okay, I have to do this or that. And then I did, for example, even before, I know I was very, very comfortable, or I was like convinced when I have my job and I have my tasks. I always believed there is an answer. And I was like, okay, I ask my question and it's going to come. But I never translated this to like all areas of my life. I just learned this is working out for my work, so I always get solution for what I'm doing at my work, but I didn't try like to expand this to all other fields of my life. And
Mm.
yeah, I wasn't aware what I was doing. I mean, obviously I was doing it kind of right and it was helping me, but I couldn't expand it further because I didn't see the whole picture.
Right. Yeah. It's very interesting then when you have that awareness, because then you're like, whoa, it's really powerful, right? You're like, I was already doing this. And when we talk about manifestation too, I think what most people don't really understand, they think manifestation is this thing and it's like woo woo thing out there. But we're all manifesting all of the time. So our lives, how they are right now, is a direct reflection of what we've
Yes.
expected, what we feel we deserve, of what we are thinking about, right? So when we are in that negative energy and we're afraid of something happening, and then the thing happens, it's like, well, when you start to really understand that, you start to realize that, wow, I'm actually manifesting all of the time, even the bad stuff. But people think manifestation is only for the good things, right? That you gotta like, it's this process of saying it's not, it's just becoming a vibration, right? It's just moving into that place where you are now, focusing your energy on the more positive things. And because now you're aware that, well, if I'm manifesting all the time, then I better keep myself in a good state of energy. And I gotta like, I gotta stay on point here. I can't go falling down a rabbit hole of negativity
Yeah.
and feeling sorry for myself and all these things, which can be very easy to do, of course.
Yeah, it's a very good point, and I really have I have the feeling we are kind of lucky, or we call it in our mentorship program with Kathleen Cameron.
Hmm.
Uh, so that she's explaining what you were saying now. You are allowed to fall in these states where you are doubting and everything, but like, what is your dominant feeling? Are you,
Hmm.
and how much time do you spend in this like positive feeling? And you don't have to be all the time
Right.
uh high vibe,
Yeah.
but you have to,
But a good
take
majority of
care
the
of
time.
beautiful feeling. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly.
No, I definitely feel that. I think we just are too hard on ourselves when that the negative feeling comes up. But because we become more and more aware, even the fact that we're recognizing the negative feeling coming up is growth, right? Because we could not be aware. We could not even notice that we're now in this
Yes,
negative pattern, right? And we're spiraling and whatever. But I think this work that we're doing, that we're in, it really helps you. You almost can't even be not aware now. I mean, now you've created this awareness and you're like, I can't ignore it. Even sometimes you like want to because it's like, okay, wait a minute. I'm recognizing everything, but it's
absolutely.
beautiful.
And yeah, and one of the things you also mentioned, when you're hard on yourself because you're falling into these doubts and low frequencies, it's also like the word judgment. You shouldn't be hard on yourself. You shouldn't be judging yourself, because this is also like you start valuing it, like the experience and awareness that you said, like, I'm
Yeah.
actually valuing that, I'm seeing it. So you can turn so many things in the whole process. And I think really being hard on yourself for anything, any tasks you're doing, or how are you in what kind of mother you are, or how are you doing your business, or like being hard on yourself is just not helping you. You have to start like
Yeah.
valuing what you're doing and giving you credit for what you're doing. And yes,
Hmm.
you're not perfect, but you can always switch, always a little bit from everywhere
Yeah. No,
to
I
the
love that.
positive.
Yeah, and it's important for us to remember that and to honestly every day just be like, okay, I'm here today. I'm doing the things. Even if we're not doing the things, we're still like we're alive. you know. And I think just giving us ourselves credit for even the tiniest things is just becoming a habit of doing that. Because we often only want to give ourselves credit for the big stuff. It's only okay to talk about the big stuff out loud and to like celebrate that. And some people don't even want to do that. But I think it's like that judgment that we have over, well,
Yeah.
if I say I'm, doing this, and it doesn't even matter. You don't have to put it out publicly to give yourself praise, right? You can do that in a journal, or just put a post-it note on your desk saying you're doing amazing, or
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Even the smallest things you have to give yourself credit for. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
just, I say,
definitely.
you're valuing yourself, you know. There are
Mhm.
bigger tasks, smaller tasks, but it's how do you talk to yourself all day?
So, for people who might be interested in being on your podcast, do you have um is there a certain, type of person that you're looking for to talk to? You said you wanted somebody who is obviously has some kind of level of awareness about this work, because that makes for a great conversation. Or are you looking more for people who are just kind of like getting a sense of this and really want to engage with you to like have your um, get some of your expertise?
Yeah, it's a very good question, Stephanie. I came from the perspective that I would like to talk with people who are already very aware and conscious, so that we can like share really deep insights. However, everybody who is in this on this journey, and this journey doesn't never ends.
Yeah.
Everybody who feels like sharing um, would help others
Hmm.
to relate. So I wouldn't like keep it really to this smaller group. It's as you are leveling up, maybe it's also it's easier to have this conversation on the same level. But I definitely, as I know how I went through my journey and who was helping me on the journey, I think there are different stages and everybody can help here. So to spread this and like
Hmm.
just to tell people, this is all normal. So I want to keep it open, really. Even if there are some people who are on higher levels of awareness, and when this many like it's habit for a much longer time for them, that would be also amazing. But I just think like sharing your process, the
Hmm.
smallest to the biggest, like a house, and how you do it, and what make you resolve some limiting belief, and how did you start to behave differently, and so on. So I would keep it like very, very, very open.
So if you just had a moment to ask someone to join you, what would the invitation be like? Like you could invite someone right now. If you're inviting the audience watching
Yeah.
this, if they wanted to
Okay.
come on your podcast.
Okay. So, dear lovely soul, um, for all of you who are on this journey, of this beautiful journey, about learning about yourself, loving yourself, um, and who wants and is like finally doing the things that you always wanted to do, and even if sometimes it feels scary and it's not like easy, but you are on this journey, I would really love to have you on my podcast. We would call it like founders of the Limitless Podcast, and you would be the first ones to make this a podcast like reality. So please join me, contact me on my podcast page, which is in my bio, and let's have a short conversation, and then we will make the beautiful one that we can share for everyone else.
Perfect. I love this. That's amazing. So that's wonderful. So you heard her. If you are interested in having that kind of conversation, don't hesitate to reach out. I would definitely take this as your sign. So if you're hearing this and you're kind of hesitating a little bit about sharing, don't hesitate. Just jump in, because that's where the real growth is. When we step over that fear of sharing and we start to take action, right, towards opening ourselves up to having those kind of conversations. And so this is your sign. So contact Elena and get on this podcast.
I'm
So
so
I just want,
excited.
yes, I just want to say thank you so much. I can't wait to see how the podcast comes along. If you're watching this, much later after recording, I'm sure there's several episodes for you to go dive into now. Um, And I'd love to follow along too. Your supplement brand is at ova.flame, right? Ova.flame, OVA.flame. So if you're interested in learning more about her supplements, you can check her out on Instagram at ova.flame. It's a really beautiful page as well and has lots of information there. So you can also find any links as well in the description of this video too. So check her out there. Thank you so much for joining me today. Is there anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
Yes, Stephanie. So you asked if I, how would I invite other people? I would definitely love to have you on my podcast, Stephanie. So this is the official invitation.
Sure, I would love to join you on your podcast. I love having these
You're
conversations any
very
old
kind.
time. So we'll connect and get that done for sure. So if you're watching this, then I'm already on. I'm already probably on the podcast. Thank you for
Thank
the
you.
invitation. I would love to join you.
Thank you.
Okay, well, this has been such an amazing conversation. I can't wait for our next one. And I definitely look forward to in the future to having you back and see how your journey has been while you're a little further into it and just catching up with you. So I'll see you in the future and I'll see everybody on the Limitless podcast. Thank you so much. Bye for now.